So, I learned something new today. That 80 kilometers is approximately 50 miles. That has nothing to do with this chapter whatsoever. Nothing at all. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy, Big Blue Drew 97 here, coming at you with another manga review for My Hero Academia, manga chapter 282, titled Footsteps of Destruction. And let's just say that this chapter, if there was any chapter to confirm how badly the heroes have screwed up within this entire arc, this chapter just hammers it in, and not like a normal hammer. No, like the Golden Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Hammer, just sending everything that they've built up flying towards destruction. So, before we get into this chapter, and let me just be honest, this was a great chapter. I'd like to ask y'all to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Big Blue Drew 97, and leave a comment down below thinking about what was going to happen in this chapter, and what do you think is the crucial and the importance of this chapter when it comes to how badly the hero has failed. Just leave a like on the video, and with that, let's get right into this review. So, we start off this chapter with the continuation of the confrontation between Deku, Shigaraki, Ryuko, as well as potentially what Shigaraki is going to do with the Quirk Erasing Bullet. And from here we get more inner dialogue from Deku and what he's about to do, because we see that his left arm is filled with the power of One for All, and Deku begins thinking to himself that he has to end this quick, he has to keep Shigaraki restrained, he has to keep him immobile, and that if he's able to take out Shigaraki now, then maybe, just maybe, he can save Gran Torino from his wounds. So it may be confirmation in this chapter that Gran Torino is not definitively dead yet, so there's a possibility that he could potentially come out of this alive, in the same vein as how Night Eye came out of the 8 Precepts arc alive, and then died immediately in a hospital. So we get that kind of confirmation in this chapter. But we also get to see the bullet, and how Shigaraki, apparently he had 2 bullets. One in his left hand, one in his right. Then before Shigaraki is even able to fire off the Quirk Erasing Bullet, Deku comes in with a 100% Wyoming smash as he slams onto Shigaraki, as we get the title of this chapter. And unfortunately, it was unsuccessful. Or what happens immediately after the smash was 1 success and 2 huge failures. The first failure was when Deku was unable to knock out Shigaraki. But when it comes to the success that happens, it actually comes in the hands of Bakugo, because as I was saying, Shigaraki had 2 Quirk Erasing Bullets, 1 in each hand, and luckily enough, Bakugo was fast enough, even faster than Endeavor, mind you, was able to destroy that 1 bullet. So, you know, if it was aiming at Bakugo or Endeavor, they still have their quirks. But the second failure comes from when Shigaraki is successfully able to fire off the second Quirk Erasing Bullet. And while this is all happening, Shigaraki is just biting down on Deku's arm, as Deku, for the most part, breaks his jaw. And while he's doing this, Shigaraki is having this monologue about how he feels unstoppable now, how his passions, his dreams, his conviction, they keep going as he fires off the bullet, and it hits. Who does it hit? It's a black portion, so it could really be anyone, but in actuality, it's Eraserhead. Eraserhead gets hit with the Quirk Erasing Bullet in his injured leg. And at this moment, I will say, while reading this, it's something that I didn't expect to happen. I would have predicted that Manual would have been the one hit with the bullet, and would have caused Aizawa to blink, which would have caused Shigaraki to regain his power. But no, Eraserhead gets shot in the leg with a Quirk Erasing Bullet, and you're thinking, oh no, his quirk is about to be erased. But at this moment, Eraserhead, Aizawa, gains conviction. because we have him thinking about the bullet and how he is thinking Ryuko, and how he grabs the knife and he's thinking about Eri, thinking about her smile, and he's like, thank you, Ryuko. Because of you, I'm able to deal with this quickly, swiftly, and rationally. With determination in his eyes, still looking at Shigaraki so that he doesn't use his quirk. He literally cuts off his own leg. And let's be honest, that is probably the coolest thing that Aizawa could have done in this entire series. I mean, it was so cool that even Shigaraki, the man who wants to kill Aizawa, is looking at him and is like, man, Aizawa, man, Eraser, you're just so cool. But unfortunately, you're impeding on my plan, so I'm gonna have to kill you. Sorry. Look cool, Aizawa. You look cool doing that. Cutting off your own limb? That's great. But I'm still gonna kill you. And at that moment, after Shigaraki says, wow, you're so cool, and he proceeds to, with his own strength, because his quirks are still being erased by Eraserhead, even at this moment, his force of his kicking of the ground sends him flying towards the other heroes, and it also sends Deku back with a shockwave. And unfortunately, Deku, he tries to stop Shigaraki by like sending out his black whip. And something interesting that he's also doing is that he's also using black whip as like a brace on his arm, most likely preventing him from taking any more damage if he were to attack, but also using it sort of as a splint to keep, his broken arm intact. So, that's cool of Deku to use a black whip in that way. While Shigaraki escapes from Deku's grasp, the shockwaves push Ryuko back, pushes Endeavor back, bypasses Endeavor. He's moving so fast. He's aiming for Eraserhead, Aizawa. His hands are clawing into Aizawa's face, planning to kill him, or at the very least, permanently take away his eyesight. But suddenly, he's hit with a spear of ice. Gosh! Who could it be? Oh my gosh, it's Shoto! Shoto comes in to save his sensei Aizawa. And this is where we come to a realization that Rocky knew of a third blimp that was following Deku and Bakugo. And that third blimp was Shoto Todoroki. And with that moment, Shoto gave Deku the time he needed to once again attack Shigaraki with a smash, sending Shigaraki flying while giving Deku enough time to get Rocklock, to get Aizawa, to get Manual away from the destruction, away from Shigaraki. But unfortunately, Aizawa has taken damage. His eye is bleeding. Either it's above his eye, but the blood is flowing to his eye. And now he's not looking at Shigaraki, meaning that Shigaraki's quirks are activated, which includes his regeneration. And then we get a page of Shigaraki just monologuing. He's like, oh, wow, y'all did pretty good to try to protect everything, but unfortunately you can't delay this anymore because the only thing that awaits you is destruction. As he smiles, as we see that his wounds are healed up. So after we see Shigaraki body beginning to heal, we cut back over to Ochako, Froppy, and Ida, and how they're trying to get in contact with Todoroki-kun, and how they're trying to question of what should they do? Should they go after him? The communications are down, and Ochako's like, yeah, we should probably go over there to help. But then all of a sudden, they hear the civilians, they hear people are panicking while watching the news, like, oh my gosh, what's happening? What's coming? What's going on? No, oh my gosh, this is so horrible. And Ida's like, turn it up, what's going on? And we just hear the Anchorman with the one cut off horn on his, I believe it's his right side, and his left horn is still intact. He begins explaining what's going on, and I'm going to try to do a news accent. He's like, attention, civilians, please evacuate the area. Apparently there is an enormous villain that is going through 2 prefectures and is heading towards Jaku City from Kyoto. And apparently the cities that is going through is Mino City, Karkono City, Nervado City, Hado City, Hori City, Cloud City, Corrida City, Calamari City, Sinara City, Hayo City, Siro City, Shido City, Anoto City, Dehono City, Ota City, Asulada City, Napato City, Kawa City, Kahera City, and we have Ochako, who's like hearing the news about talking about how there's enormous villains going through these prefectures, going through these cities, and Ochako just has a moment of like realization and just utter fear can be seen on her face, where she's like, wait 1 second, aren't most of the heroes assigned to this mission? As we get the final page of this chapter, where we see Gigantomachia bursting through a city, and before we even do that, we also get to see just a few panels of heroes that are on the ground. It doesn't appear that they are heroes that we know, but they are heavily bleeding, and we see a track that shows where Gigantomachia is heading. So, final panel is of Gigantomachia running through a city, about to take a whole lot of civilians' lives, and from what Ochako is saying, there aren't really any heroes to help save them. So the anchorman said that he's going through 20 cities, and most likely those cities do not have heroes to protect them. You remember when I told you that between Osaka, or when I told you that when it comes to 80 kilometers, that's around 50 miles? Gigantomachia is going to wreck 50 miles worth of land and city, and people are gonna die. You know, shonen death is common when it comes to side characters, villains. Sometimes civilians die, but normally they either don't stay dead for long, or you have the Dragon Ball Z effect. Yeah, no, the only other manga that I know that kills this many civilians in an instant is Chainsaw Man. And let me just say this, I was not expecting this. I was not expecting Hirokoshi to go down this line of, oh, you think that this is going to be a happy-go-lucky series where the heroes will always save the day and there's going to be no casualties whatsoever? No, there are going to be casualties, not just on the hero side, not solely on the villain side, but civilians are going to die. So this chapter was pretty damn amazing. Not only did we get to see Aizawa at his finest, cutting off his own leg, showing how much of a badass Aizawa is, but we also got to see Deku going 100% against Shigaraki, and showing that even though, yes, Shigaraki has regeneration powers, he can still take damage. And the fact that with one attack from Deku, like a full force 100% attack, was able to dislocate his jaw, and he's just as durable and just as strong as All Might, shows that at the very least when it comes to power, they can be comparable with each other. But it's just that Shigaraki will most likely have like quirks that could counter Deku, which is why he needs to train more to unlock his float quirk, as well as his other quirks as well. So it was cool to see that, as well as just cool to see that when it comes to this story, this chapter televises that the heroes are going to lose this war. And it's not because that they weren't, and it wasn't because they weren't ill-prepared, it's that they did not factor in the villain's strength and the lack of heroes in society. They did not factor in the fact that Gigantomachia could potentially be unstoppable, and that they deployed literally all, if not all, most, of their heroes to this one project, which left literally all of these cities unprotected. And if they just had like half the heroes stationed within the areas that they lived, potentially a lot less casualties would have happened. They could have evacuated these areas quickly, but because they didn't do that, because they sent so many heroes against the villains, that they thought that they could completely like win against the villains, the cost is human lives, ergo the civilians' lives. They could have saved a lot more lives if they hadn't have gone full throttle against the villains. And with this shakeup, this is probably going to be the moment that people point to for Hero Society coming to an end and the reliance on heroes completely destroying society. This moment, the end of this chapter, is going to be the point that truly changes the story moving forward. So, overall, I thought this was a really good chapter of My Hero Academia. Like I said, we got to see Aizawa being a badass, we got to see Deku being cool, and we get to see more of the consequences of this war and how it's not just affecting the villains, it's not just affecting the heroes, but it's going to affect society as a whole, including the civilians. So, like I said, overall, really good chapter. Hopefully you enjoyed this review of My Hero Academia. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you'll leave a like. Hopefully you'll leave a comment down below. What did you think of this chapter? Did you think this chapter was really good? Do you think that any of these civilians are gonna die? Because, I'm gonna say, yeah, they are. And yeah, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, do all of that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in the next video. Goodbye for now. Oh gosh, so many people are just gonna